Hello everyone, welcome to the mid-month update from the dev side. And today's topic, we're going to talk about runners and nanos. So runners is the spine of our experience in SYNCED. And we had a lot of fun and a challenge at the same time for designing those runners, for make them, more differentiated from one and another. And as well as that we want to deliver different aspects of the stories and their background, their settings, their characters, that we want to make sure that people will be able to recognize them very easily and love them. So the design of a runner will always come from gameplay first. So we always try to see what are the scenarios that the player are going to face in our PvP and PvE gameplays. And based on those scenarios, we want to see, okay, what type of power we want to give to the runners. So the first thing we always want to decide is what is armband skill we want to design. For example, we have the bouncing ball, the bouncing grenade from Mr. Park. We also have the flame grenade from Dead Cut, and as well as a healing aura that we gave to Dr. Stone. And based on those armband skills that define what type of class this runner is and what this runner can excel in the combat situations. So on top of those armband skills we had, we also want to add a little bit more depth to the runner skill set, which introduced another two passive perks. For example, for Dead Cut, this guy is really about burning a lot of stuff, right? But at the same time, if Dead Cut is inside the burning area, which actually adding an extra buff to him, so he will be able to cause more damage. And as well as the last bullet from Dead Cut's weapon will always make a fire affliction damage to the enemy. So this way, we set it up this runner as a attack-oriented character that the player can use, and which very popular among players, and have a big impact, especially in solo mode. And also the challenge of designing those runners are actually balancing, and we're actually facing a lot of different challenges when we see what player can do with those runners in the game. And for example, Mr. Park, his armband skill is really about that bouncing grenade, right? And the bouncing grenade can deal a lot of damage to a lot of nano at the same time. But we didn't notice that this bouncing grenade actually can cause stun to other runner as well. So when that happens, it becomes a win button. Once you use the skill, you can automatically stun the rival, and then you just go there and then burst their fire, you stun. This is actually not cool. So in those kind of scenarios, we always have to relook at our design to see those tiny bits, to see are they making sense or are they more on the overpower side. And in the future, we will be expanding our rosters of the runners. We will be able to design more, different characteristic, very interesting characters in the game, and provide a more variation for the players that we can always create our own scenarios. So the last part of the designing of runners, we want to bring diversity into the game. They have their own accent, they have their own background, and they have their own personality. And my personal favorite will be the Rania. She's actually from Argentina, and she's a South American girl. She had a very dark background inside our game, but she's super cool. She's always calm. She just treats the enemy as a somewhat, cold blood type of way, but she always keeps the temper. And she's also very fun to play because her skill can literally detect the enemy through walls, and this gave her a very big advantage that inside a PvP environment, and can give me the options that tell me what I need to do next, because I don't shoot well, so at least give me a way out. So yeah, those are the different aspects of the designs, the challenge we're facing for the runners. And I think that in the future of this project that we're gonna expand our roster to make sure that we introduce more different variations, different play styles, and different funs to the game. So if we look back of how this idea came from, is really about our story, because in our story background, we know that in the near future, everyone having their BMI, injected into our brain, so we all synced up into a cloud somewhere, right? Like what is happening now. Anyway, so things go bad, but somehow we still connected. So the enemy is also connected, right? So those wild nanos, those enemy nanos, they also connected to a cloud. So we were thinking, okay, what if you access them as a node, which gave you the option to access more information, right? And that is where the original idea came from. So from there, the first version is literally that you can control more than 40 nanos on the same time, on the screen. It's very exciting, but it's actually very chaotic, especially considering that if there's other team and players, if every one of you have more than 10 nanos at the same time, that became a total war, right? So it's not really cool. It's fun though, it's not really cool. There's a lot of problems that we cannot fix. So we start doing a lot of trim down, and we start doing more focused design on the system. And one day we said, you know what? Every runner just control 1 nano. And because of that design, we start to differentiate the type of nanos into what we have right now as crusher, suppressor, guardians, and seers. And the idea of those 4 types is really focused on the build. And last time we talked about runners, right? And every runner have a one specific way of play. Like Dead Cut is a burning guy, Glory is the ranger, Dr. Stone is really a supportive character. We already know that. So on top of the companion nano, what we want to do is give another layer that player will be able to combine those 2 things together, can create some very interesting dynamics. So Guardian, for example, is really about building up a shield, right? It's not only that useful in the PvP, even in PvE environment, which is very useful of blocking the way from the enemy nanos. And combining those type of design with runner together, we start to seeing some magic. So the 4 type of nanos we have, every one of them have some pros and cons, right? Crusher is very annoying, by the way. Crusher is annoying. It's very powerful, but he only can do melee. So it's possible you can guide him into the corner and then just burst the fire on the crusher. You will be able to take it down. But when crusher really on you, the best option is run, just run, right? But suppressor is a different, totally different type of enemy that it provides a long-range suppression. That if you not dodge early, you will be pinned. And on top of that, the suppressor have totally different type of weapon, like the electronic shock, the shock bullets and the poison bullets in different type. And every type of the attack gave the enemy a totally different state. And this is, is not easy to deal with. And the last one I want to highlight is the seer. Seer seems like a tactical guy or a very supportive type of nano, but in fact, in the PvE environment, this nano can provide you with a lot of abilities that, for example, Seer will be able to revive the dead and start controlling those dead nanos to fight for you. So we kind of bring back the idea that you can control multiple nanos at the same time, right? And on another scenario, that if you call your Seer back on your arm, it always pulls the wave that can highlight the weak point from the nano. So you will be dealing more damage on the weak points by default. So in those type of gameplays, we see that player will be able to start seeing more possibilities and combining with their own play style to choose the best combination between the nanos and the runners. So those functions together, I think it gave us the way that we want to keep building this system to make sure this key feature of the project can be shinier and shinier in the future. And of course, your feedback will be totally welcome and gonna help us to design another nano in the future and to make our current nanos even more fun and better. So yeah, it's a long episode, and I kind of continue talking about Nano because I love this system so much, and this system is really, I'm really proud of this design of the company Nano system in our game. So hope you like it as well, and stay tuned. We're gonna bring you more information on SYNCED in the future. So yeah, that's for today about our runners and nanos, and hopefully that every one of you will be able to experiment yourself and find the best combination for your playstyle. And stay tuned for the game, and I see you in the game.